Hey everybody, Paul Evans here. Zero offers, everybody knows the game. When it comes to being successful online, people often want to know, what it takes, how's it possible, what are the characteristics, things along those lines, and what causes failure. Why do so many people fail in their online business? Well, there's probably hundreds of reasons why that happens. And I can't say that what I'm about to share is the reason, but it is up there. It's a very high level reason of why people are not successful in online business. I think it's also the reason people aren't successful in life in general, and you'll get it once we really take this all the way to the end. But when it comes to it, ultimately, is that people want the freedom of being an entrepreneur, but the safety of being an employee. So they want the freedom of being an entrepreneur and the safety of being an employee. In other words, I want all of the benefit without any of the risk. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but it's really the way that we've been programmed. I mean, you think about books like, the 4-Hour Week. It sounds phenomenal. Who doesn't want that? And all the riches and wealth that goes with it. What is it promising? We promise wealth without work. Now, even though that's not the bottom line of the book, obviously that's what people are going to get from it when they actually see that book title, right? So think about the way it is in fitness and in health. We say that you can lose X number of pounds and eat anything you want, and without exercise. You get all the benefits without any of the pain. So this is the ways that society has programmed us, has made us think. And when we are working a job, let's say we're working a job we hate, we're trying to get out of it. We don't like our boss, we don't like our coworkers. So we go online and we find a way to make money from home. And we're out there in groups and we're searching, how in the world should I make money? Now think about that. We're not saying what's my skill set, what do I bring to the table, what's my value. We're basically saying show me a way to make money and I will go and do that thing without understanding the risk, the amount of effort involved, and all of those things. So we're going to transition over to the screen and we're going to make a couple of columns on what an employee looks like and what an entrepreneur looks like. And then we're going to look at the entrepreneur triangle and at least 3 elements that we've got to have in place if we're going to have a chance of success. Not guaranteed success, but if we're going to have a chance of success, we've got to have these 3 things. I'll see you over there. All right, so let's look at the difference between being an entrepreneur and being an employee. So let's think in terms of if I'm going to be an employee or if I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So on the employee side, I'm going to clock in and I'm going to clock out, right? So I come in at 9, I leave at 5 or 8 to 5, and I get a lunch break and I get certain breaks. And that's the life of an employee. And I know that there's going to be some salespeople and some people with flex and some people who are doing 2 days on, 1 day off. But in general, you've got a fairly predictable life when it comes to work. Whereas with an entrepreneur, it's just 24/7. I mean, you've got to be there all the time. It's what you do. Sure, you can hire some employees, but usually with online business, people are kind of out there in their silo and they're doing it solo. And that's the way that actually most of us want it to be. So that's one of the challenges is that you're moving from clocking in and out to 24/7. And when you're under the gun at work, I'm not saying that people don't work at work. There's a lot that don't. But you know what you're responsible for. Whereas when you got 24/7, there can be a tendency to be lazy if you're unmotivated. All right, so on the left side, you've got, fairly predictable income. You know what you're supposed to get paid every 2 weeks or every month for the most part. If you're in sales, it's a little bit different. But even then, you're expecting the company to get you a check. Over here, man, it's just a question mark. You don't know if you're going to get paid or not. And many of my businesses, it was a couple of years before I was able to get paid. So it's not automatic, it's not guaranteed. So if money's the issue, if you're like, I've got to make money, being an entrepreneur is not actually the best route or the safest route. The best route to make money is actually to have a job. Now, we don't like saying that because in online business, that doesn't sound right, because people are selling the dream. They're selling 24/7 freedom. And all the video ads out there are talking about what you're going to become and how they're making this video from the beach or with their luxury cars. Here's a big one. Entrepreneur, employee, you're told what you're going to do. You receive assignments. You know what your job is. For the entrepreneur, you've got to decide. It's up to you. You decide what you're going to do, what steps you're going to take, what it's going to look like, and it's completely up to you to make those decisions. Now then, on the other side, there's great security. For the entrepreneur, there's great risk. On the employee side, you might actually have a company budget. On your side, it's basically your wallet. You don't get to use somebody else's money. You don't get to turn in an expense sheet and get the company to reimburse you unless you've got investors. And most people that I know starting their online business or even running an online business do not have investors, do not have a budget with expenses, and then they get reimbursed each month. You just don't see that very much. So the challenge is this, is that people want to have this freedom, but they want to be told what to do. That's why people get upset when they buy a course and they say, hey, I'm going to start an online business. I'm going to take this course. And they want to follow that course for this ultimate outcome. They want to follow this course that gives them basically what they're asking for is, hey, give me the security. I want to make sure that I'm totally secure and I take this course and it turns out right. I want you to tell me what to do. I want you to tell me when to do it. Who acts like that? That's an employee mindset. And so if you got the employee mindset, it's really tough to get the entrepreneurial results. Now, that doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. So let's look at another page here. So if we're looking at being an entrepreneur, whoops, should have switched this. If we're looking at being an entrepreneur, it begins with knowing that you are the owner, that you own everything in the business. You own all of the expenses, you own all of the blame, you own all of the responsibility. You own it. It's not anybody else. And that's a challenge because we love to say it's somebody else's fault if we don't make it. But to own it says that I'm going to own everything about this. I'm going to own the good times. I'm going to own the bad times. I'm going to own the comfort area. I'm going to own the risky area. One of my buddies years ago, he owns a bunch of apartment properties. And another one of my friends went to him and said, hey, I want to invest some money with your apartments. He said, okay. He said, what's the first thing I need to know? He said, you need to know that he said, first of all, how much money do you have? He said, I've got $100,000. He said, what's the first thing I need to know? He said, the first thing you need to know is there's a pretty good chance you're going to lose $100,000. And my buddy said, well, I can't afford to lose $100,000. He goes, well, don't invest it then. Right? So the owner knows that there's going to be loss. Going in with the mindset of I'm going to buy a course and I'm going to become rich if I follow it step by step is basically like saying I'm going to get a paint by numbers set and then I'm going to sell that for the same price as a Picasso. Right? That doesn't make any sense because there's too many things that go into it. So if you're really going to be an entrepreneur, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to own the entire concept, take responsibility for everything. The second thing, and this is not really a popular word today, is that you've really got to become obsessed. You've got to become obsessed with your success. It's got to be what you eat, drink, and sleep and think about all the time. And not think about negatively. Not think about, oh, I've got this list of stuff to do. Oh, that didn't work out. Oh, I've got to make money by this Saturday. Not that type of obsession, but obsessed with taking your product, your knowledge, your service, and serving as many people as possible. Becoming dissatisfied if less than X number of people hear about your product in the next month, the next 6 months, the next year. You be obsessed. Sometimes we get obsessed about the processes. We're obsessed about getting our website up. We're obsessed about getting our product together. You don't make any money off of any of that. When you become obsessed about people, you become obsessed with meeting people, getting to know people, building the list, and helping as many people as possible. That's when your ownership begins to turn into some income. Now then, you've also got to have perseverance. Perseverance. Because the bad times are coming, the hard times are coming, the challenging times are coming, the software breakdowns are coming. I get so tickled. There's a real popular funnel building software out there, and the second it goes down, whether it's for an update or somebody's internet connection's a little bit slow, there's mass hysteria and panic. Hey, does anybody know what's wrong? When I'm sitting in here watching Netflix at the house and I get a 2-minute interruption on my internet, I get bothered by that. Why? Because we believe for some reason things are supposed to go right and be operational 100% of the time. But that's just crazy talk and crazy think. It just doesn't happen that way, and it just doesn't work that way. So when it comes all the way back to, the challenges of online success, there's a lot of reasons for failure, and there's a lot of reasons for success. But the biggest block that I see overall, biggest reason necessarily for failure, but the biggest block that prevents people from really getting out of the gate and really staying the course is because they want all the freedom of being an entrepreneur, and yet they want all the security of an employee. And that just is not the way it works. All right. Hope some of that was helpful. 0 offers, because everybody knows the game. Be blessed.